Welcome to Legacy Coins. And before we dive in, I want you to stop whatever you're doing right now because what you're about to hear might just change the way you look at every single coin you've ever held in your hand. Imagine this. You're cleaning out your grandmother's old dresser drawer, and tucked beneath a stack of faded letters and forgotten trinkets, you find a small plastic bag filled with loose change. You almost toss it aside. Almost. But then one coin catches the light just a little differently, and something tells you to look closer. That coin is a 1978 quarter dollar from the United States of America, and depending on what's on it, or more precisely, what went wrong when it was made, that single quarter could be worth an almost incomprehensible $158 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. $158 million for a quarter. A coin that was originally worth 25 cents. Let that sink in for just a moment because this is not fiction. This is not clickbait. This is the jaw-dropping, pulse-racing reality of a rare coin world. And today we're going to walk you through every single detail of why this 1978 quarter dollar has become one of the most talked about, most hunted, and most financially explosive coins in all of American numismatic history. And before we go any further, I need to tell you something. We have another coin coming up later in this video, a coin from 1998. And trust me when I say the story behind it is so shocking, so unbelievable, that even seasoned coin collectors have been left absolutely speechless. You do not want to miss that. So stay with us, keep watching, because what's coming later in this video might just be the most important thing you've ever heard. But first, let's talk about 1978. The year was 1978, and America was in the thick of a transformative era. The country was still recovering from the economic turbulence of the 1970s. Inflation was biting hard, and the United States Mint was under enormous pressure to keep up with the demand for circulating coinage. Millions upon millions of quarters were being struck at facilities across the country, primarily at the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. And with that kind of volume, the conditions were absolutely ripe for something extraordinary to slip through the cracks. And slip through it did. The standard 1978 quarter dollar features the iconic profile of George Washington on the obverse, a design that has graced the American quarter since 1932, crafted originally by sculptor John Flanagan. On the reverse, you find a classic heraldic eagle design, bold and powerful, a symbol of American strength and independence. Millions of these coins were struck, distributed, and spent without a second thought by everyday Americans buying groceries, riding buses, and feeding parking meters. But here's where the story takes a breathtaking turn. Within the massive production runs of 1978, a very small number of these quarters were born with errors. Minting anomalies so significant, so visually stunning, and so historically important that they transformed an ordinary coin into a numismatic legend. The most significant and valuable among these errors is the double die obverse error, a condition where the coins die. The tool used to stamp the design onto the blank metal planchet was itself created with a misalignment during its hubbing process. This caused certain design elements on the coin's face to appear doubled, as if the letters or numbers or even Washington's portrait were slightly echoed or ghosted alongside the primary image. On the most dramatic examples, you can see unmistakable doubling in the date, in the lettering of Liberty, and in the phrase, "In God We Trust." These details, visible under magnification, and sometimes even to the naked eye on the finest specimens, are the fingerprints of an error that the Mint never intended to release, but did. And that accidental release is precisely what makes these coins so extraordinarily valuable today. But the double die is not the only error that collectors are frantically hunting for in the 1978 series. There are also known examples of off-center strikes, where the blank coin was not properly centered beneath the die when the press came down, resulting in a coin where Washington's portrait and the surrounding design are shifted dramatically to one side, leaving a crescent of blank metal on the opposite edge. The more dramatic the off-center shift, numismatists often cite figures like 25%, 40%, or even 50% off-center, the more valuable the coin becomes because it represents an increasingly catastrophic failure of quality control at the mint. There are also documented cases of broad-struck 1978 quarters, coins that were struck outside of the retaining collar that normally keeps the coin perfectly round and gives it its reeded edge. Without the collar, the metal spreads outward under the force of the press, creating a coin that is larger and thinner than normal, with a smooth, irregular edge. These broad strikes are prized by error coin specialists as some of the most visually dramatic anomalies in American coinage, and a 1978 broad-struck quarter in high grade can command prices that would make your head spin. And then there are the planchet errors, coins struck on the wrong metal blanks entirely. In rare cases, quarters have been found struck on dime planchets, on foreign coin blanks, or on experimental metal compositions that were never meant to enter the production line. These wrong planchet errors are among the rarest of the rare, and when one surfaces at auction, the entire coin collecting community holds its breath. Now, let's talk about why the value of the finest 1978 quarter dollars has been estimated at up to $158 million, because that number demands an explanation. In the world of rare coins, value is determined by a combination of factors: rarity, condition, provenance, and the intensity of collector demand. The coins that achieve the highest values are those that combine all four elements perfectly. They are extraordinarily rare. They are preserved in an almost flawless state of mint condition. They carry a documented history of ownership that adds to their story and legitimacy, and they exist at the intersection of intense collector desire and limited supply. The 1978 quarter dollar errors that have been graded at the very top of the numismatic grading scale. Coins rated MS 67, MS 68, or even the mythical MS 69 by professional grading services like PeaceGS or NGC, represent the absolute pinnacle of what this series has to offer. At those grades, combined with the right error type and the right provenance, the value projections become almost surreal. Private collectors have reportedly paid extraordinary sums in confidential transactions that never make the headlines. And when you factor in the global appetite for American error coinage among collectors in Asia, Europe, and the Middle East, the ceiling for the finest known specimens is virtually limitless. Imagine being the person who casually handed this coin to a cashier without a second look. Imagine the millions of people who passed this coin from hand to hand, pocket to pocket, jar to jar, never once suspecting what they were holding. That is the heartbreaking, thrilling, maddeningly exciting reality of the rare coin world. Fortune is sometimes hiding in the most ordinary of places, and the difference between a coin worth 25 cents and one worth millions can be something as small as a misaligned die or a wrong metal blank. This coin could be in your house right now. It could be in a piggy bank, in a kitchen drawer, tucked inside an old wallet at the back of a closet. And the only way you'd ever know is if you looked. Really looked. And now, I have to pause here because I promised you earlier that what's coming next in this video is going to absolutely blow your mind. We've talked about a coin worth $158 million, and that alone is almost too incredible to believe. But the next coin we're about to cover, a 1998 P quarter dollar, carries a story and a value that is going to leave you completely stunned. There is something about that 1998 P quarter that even expert numismatists describe in hushed, almost reverent tones. What happened at the mint that year? What error, what anomaly, what extraordinary circumstance created a coin so valuable that it eclipses even the legendary 1978 quarter we just discussed? You need to stay right where you are because we're going to reveal everything. And trust me, You have absolutely never heard anything like what's coming next. Don't go anywhere. The best is yet to come. And if you thought $158 million was extraordinary, just wait until you hear what we have in store for you in just a few moments. The 1998 P quarter dollar is about to redefine everything you thought you knew about the value hidden in ordinary American change. And the story behind it is one of the most shocking, most dramatic, and most financially staggering tales in the entire history of United States coinage. Stay with us. This is Legacy Coins, and we're just getting started. Next, 1998 P quarter dollar USA. And if you thought what we just covered was enough to make your jaw drop, I need you to brace yourself, because what we are about to reveal right now is the kind of story that keeps serious coin collectors awake at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering if they've ever unknowingly held a fortune in the palm of their hand and let it slip away forever. Most people spend this coin every single day without even blinking. They drop it into vending machines. They leave it as loose change on store counters. They toss it into tip jars and parking meters and sofa cushions, and they never once stop to consider that the 1998 P quarter dollar they're casually discarding could be one of the most financially explosive, most historically significant, and most breathtakingly valuable coins ever accidentally released into American circulation. We are talking about a coin with an estimated collector value of $166 million. A figure so staggering, so almost incomprehensible, that even when you say it out loud, it doesn't feel entirely real. $166 million for a quarter. A single, small, silver-colored quarter that was minted in Philadelphia in 1998 and theoretically worth nothing more than 25 cents to anyone who didn't know what they were looking at. But here's the thing. And this is the part that should make every single person watching this video immediately go check every quarter they own. The people who do know what they are looking at have been quietly, desperately, obsessively hunting for this coin for years. So let's get into it, because the full story of the 1998 P quarter dollar is one of the richest, most layered, most fascinating chapters in the entire history of American numismatics. And by the time we are done, you're going to look at your loose change in a way you never have before. To understand why the 1998 P quarter dollar occupies such a legendary status in the rare coin world, you first need to understand the context of what was happening at the United States Mint in the late 1990s. This was a period of massive transition and extraordinary numismatic significance for American coinage. The country was on the verge of launching the 50-state quarters program in 1999, one of the most ambitious and widely celebrated coin programs in American history. And the Mint was simultaneously managing enormous production volumes, transitioning equipment, training personnel, and preparing for the logistical demands of an entirely new coinage series. That combination of factors, high volume production, equipment transition, administrative pressure, and the inherent chaos of a system being stretched to its operational limits, created the perfect storm for errors to occur. And in 1998, at the Philadelphia Mint specifically, that storm produced something extraordinary. The P Mint mark on the 1998 P quarter dollar tells you exactly where this coin was born: Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, home of one of the oldest and most storied minting facilities in the entire world. The Philadelphia Mint has been producing American coinage since 1792, and its history is woven into the very fabric of United States financial and cultural identity. But even the most experienced, most disciplined, most historically significant minting operation in the country is not immune to the kinds of mechanical and human errors that occasionally create coins of breathtaking rarity and value. And in 1998, something went spectacularly, magnificently wrong. And the result was a coin that the numismatic world has been chasing ever since. The errors associated with the most valuable 1998 P quarters are multiple and varied, and each type carries its own extraordinary story. The most prized among collectors is the transitional error, a coin struck on a planchet that was prepared for a different denomination or a different composition entirely. In the chaos of the mint's preparation for the upcoming state quarters program, there were instances where planchets of varying specifications entered the production stream, and quarters were struck on blanks that were never intended for quarter production. The result is a coin that looks like a quarter, bears the Washington obverse and the standard reverse design of 1998, but feels wrong in the hand, slightly lighter, slightly thinner, slightly different in diameter, because it is wrong in the most glorious, most collectible way imaginable. These transitional planchet errors are so rare that most coin collectors will go their entire lives without ever seeing one in person, let alone holding one, let alone owning one. And that rarity, combined with the documented auction history and the voracious global demand for exactly this type of American era coinage, is what drives the value of the finest known specimens into the stratospheric range of $166 million. But transitional planchet errors are only the beginning of what makes the 1998 P series so explosively valuable. There are also documented examples of die cap errors from this year, a phenomenon that occurs when a coin becomes stuck to the die and subsequent coins are struck against it rather than against the proper die surface, creating coins with dramatically distorted, almost sculptural surfaces that look unlike anything you would ever expect to find in ordinary pocket change. A die cap error on a 1998 P quarter is an object of genuine fascination, a three-dimensional artifact of mechanical failure that represents one of the most visually dramatic and technically complex errors in all of American coin production. Then there are the rotated die errors, coins where the reverse die was installed at an incorrect angle relative to the obverse die, causing the eagle on the back of the coin to appear rotated anywhere from a few degrees to a full 180 degrees relative to Washington's portrait on the front. American coins are specifically designed to have what numismatists call coin turn, where the reverse image is oriented upside down relative to the obverse when you flip the coin on its vertical axis. Any significant deviation from this standard is a rotated die error, and the more dramatic the rotation, the more valuable the coin. A 1998 P quarter with a 180-degree rotated reverse, sometimes called a metal turn error because it mimics the orientation used in metal production, is an object of fierce collector desire, and examples in high mint state grades have commanded extraordinary prices at major auction houses. The story of a 1998 P quarter dollar is also inseparable from the story of the collectors and dealers who have spent decades hunting for these coins, examining roll after roll of uncirculated quarters, sifting through bank bags, purchasing bulk lots at coin shows, and squinting through loops at coin after coin in the desperate, thrilling hope of finding one of these extraordinary errors hiding among its perfectly ordinary siblings. There is a romance to this hunt that is unlike almost any other pursuit in the collecting world. The knowledge that the coin you are looking for was made by accident, that was never supposed to exist, that it slipped through the quality control systems of one of the world's most sophisticated manufacturing operations and entered the world disguised as something completely mundane. That disguise is both the curse and the magic of the 1998 P error quarter. It looks at first glance like every other quarter minted that year. It spends like any other quarter. It sits in your change dish like any other quarter. And yet, in the hands of someone who knows what to look for, it reveals itself as something almost impossibly rare and valuable. A tiny, circular piece of American history that carries within it the story of human error, mechanical failure, and the breathtaking alchemy by which ordinary metal becomes extraordinary treasure. The auction history surrounding the finest known 1998 P error quarters is a testament to the depth and intensity of collector passion for this series. Private sales conducted through major numismatic auction houses have seen verified error specimens from this year change hands for sums that make headlines even outside the coin collecting community, drawing the attention of mainstream financial media and investment analysts who have increasingly come to recognize rare coins as a legitimate and extraordinarily lucrative alternative asset class. The combination of tangible physical beauty, historical significance, extreme rarity, and documented provenance makes the finest 1998 P quarters not merely collectibles, but genuine investment-grade assets. Objects that have consistently appreciated in value over time, and that Experts Project will continue to do so as the global collector base expands and the supply of high-grade error specimens remains permanently, immutably fixed. Think about that for a moment. The supply can never increase. No one can go back to 1998 and make more of these coins. The Philadelphia Mint of that year is gone. The specific dies are gone. The exact conditions that produce these errors are unrepeatable. Every single specimen that exists today is all that will ever exist. And as time passes and coins are lost, damaged, or simply never identified for what they truly are, the number of known high-grade examples can only decrease. That is the fundamental economic reality that underpins the extraordinary valuations attached to the finest 1998 P quarter dollars, and it is why serious collectors and investors pursue them with the kind of focused, passionate intensity that other people reserve for fine art or rare gemstones. And here's the thought that should be keeping you up tonight. This coin is out there, right now, somewhere in America, possibly in multiple somewheres. In 1998, P quarter dollar with one of these extraordinary errors is sitting unrecognized, unexamined, and unappreciated in someone's change jar, someone's coin roll, someone's forgotten collection in a box in the attic. It could be in your house. It could be in your car's center console. It could be in the bottom of a bag you haven't opened in years. The only question is whether you will be the one to find it, or whether you will spend it tomorrow on a cup of coffee, sending $166 million into the world one more time, disguised as 25 cents. This is Legacy Coins, and the story of the 1998 P quarter dollar is proof that the most extraordinary things in this world are often hiding in the most ordinary places, waiting patiently for someone with the knowledge and the curiosity to finally look close enough to see what's really there.